The number one question I get from potential clients, from aspiring speakers, even from friends is this: how do I get booked and paid to speak? That is literally actually the $1,000,000 question, because the goal is to create a speaking business that generates millions and millions of dollars. Is it not? First, a disclaimer. I have been giving speeches since I was a squirmy, skinny 16-year-old, and I accidentally wandered into a speech and debate workshop. Okay, I didn't accidentally wander into a speech and debate workshop. It just happened that there was a girl that I had a crush on that I sat with at lunch every day, and she said, Eric, hair toss. I think that you should do the speech and debate workshop with me this summer, because then it would be such a great way for you and I to get to spend some time together. And like any 15-year-old teenage boy, I said, okay, and followed her into the speech and debate workshop, which was absolutely one of my greatest fears ever. So anyway, I accidentally walked into a speech and debate workshop, and that gave me the confidence, the tools, and the experience to be able to perform in front of audiences. And I've been doing that ever since. As an educator, as a trainer, I helped people build confidence in their communication and storytelling skills. But it wasn't until a few years ago that I realized that I was missing my own speaking. I was missing being on stage and delivering an impactful and meaningful message. So I started to transition into being a professional speaker. While I knew what it took to create and craft a very well-intentioned, very roller coaster ride of a speech experience for audiences, I didn't quite know the business of the speaking world. In other words, I didn't know the answer to that $1,000,000 question. How do I get booked and paid to speak? I enrolled in many programs that claimed that they would give me all access to the secrets of the speaking industry. Most of those programs ended up being flops. I read books, I listened to podcasts, I did interviews, I got coaching, I did it all. And once I had a sense of what I needed to do to get booked and paid to speak, I decided to launch my speaking career in January of 2020. No better time for a public speaker to launch his public speaking business. I don't think I have to tell you what happened in March of 2020. While I had early success, thankfully, from referrals and people in the community who were willing to give me a chance and booked me to be a paid speaker, those events quickly dissipated. Then, once things started to get back to somewhat normal, I did start to get a few speaking engagements here and there. But it was very difficult to decipher when an event planner would reject me, if they were rejecting me or if they were rejecting me because there was so much uncertainty in the event space. So I struggled. I struggled quite a lot to get booked, paid speaking engagements. And I tried everything. I tried newsletters, blogs, social media, being on podcasts. I revamped my website. I went to networking events. I connected with others. I did everything I possibly could. And don't get me wrong, those were all fruitful strategies. Those are important to announce to the world and to your community, hey, I'm a paid speaker, this is what I speak on, and I can support your teams. However, when I talk to aspiring speakers, their primary focus is on those particular strategies. They ask me questions like, how do I get my SEO up? What should my social media content be like? How should my website be designed? How do I reach out to event planners? And let me tell you, there are some really excellent strategies to be able to raise awareness of yourself as a speaker, and there are many resources to be able to find the right strategies to do so. And I'll tell you from firsthand experience, those pale in comparison to the number one thing you need in order to get booked and paid to speak. And it's the one thing that most aspiring speakers forget. And it's the one thing that is the most obvious to being an effective public speaker. Are you ready for the secret? Drum roll, please. I think my dog barked because he heard me. To get booked and paid to speak, you have to be a great speaker. And in order to be a great speaker, you have to invest time into the craft. A few years ago, as I was struggling, I looked at my calendar and I saw that I had many speaking engagements in June of that year. Now, June was jam-packed. There was a stretch where I gave 4 keynote speeches in 2 days across 3 cities. Whoa, that was fun and intense and amazing. But the month before that, I had nothing on my calendar. And I do mean nothing. Instead of panicking, instead of going and creating a new newsletter or a new blog post or a new social media account, I did something that brought me back to the basics. I took the entire month of May, and for 40 hours a week, 4 weeks in a row, I researched, I revised, and most importantly, I rehearsed. And when I say I rehearsed, I don't mean that I just jotted down some notes and then thought about it. I mean, I scripted every word of my keynotes. I highlighted the areas that I needed to memorize. I highlighted the areas in a different color that I could speak extemporaneously. And I also created and crafted interactive activities for the audience. Then I would take a backpack filled with snacks, water, and all other hiking essentials, and I would go on epically long hikes. And these would be rehearsal hikes. I would put my earbuds in and I would literally speak my speeches out loud over and over and over again. I would have my printed copy in hand and I would reference whenever I stumbled or fumbled. And if somebody passed me on the hiking path, they didn't say anything to me. They just thought I was talking on the phone with my earbuds. Or maybe they thought I was a complete crazy human being, but it doesn't matter because this is my rehearsal strategy, not theirs. I knew that these strategies that I was implementing, the newsletters, the blogs, the social media posts, those were all great in getting my name out there, but it didn't mean anything if I wasn't a powerful and impactful speaker. Think about it this way. Let's say that you brand yourself as a musician. You have a great social media account, you have a fantastic website, you have an incredible blog with all of the SEO to make sure that you're the first one on the list in a Google search. And then somebody notices you and gives you a call and books you to play at their event. And you show up having not learned your instrument, having not rehearsed, but you play from the heart. I hear speakers say this all the time. I don't rehearse, I just speak from the heart. If you're one of those speakers, may I kindly request that you stop it? Stop just going up there and winging it. Speaking from the heart doesn't mean that you're being authentic. Speaking from the heart means that you don't respect your audience enough to deliver them a well-crafted experience. And those that simply speak from the heart or quote unquote live in the moment as a speaker, they're not speaking for their audience. They're speaking to fulfill a particular need of themselves. And that's a huge difference. You see, there's always a price that is paid whenever there is a public speech. Either the speaker pays that price, and they pay that price in discomfort. They pay that price in discomfort in being in front of an audience, but also in the discomfort of rehearsing and preparing that talk. If they don't pay that price, do you know who's going to feel the weight of that price? The discomfort, the awkwardness? It's going to be your audience. When you're unprepared, you're not serving your audience. And when you're not prepared, you're not actually a speaker. You're just someone who is talking. And just because you can talk doesn't mean that you can speak. Again, total transparent moment for you. I'm still learning the speaking business. My speaking business is definitely growing, but it's not where I want it to be yet. And I'm going to continue to do the things that help get my name out there. I'm going to continue, I don't know, maybe I should start a YouTube channel. that might be a good idea. But I'm going to continue my social media presence, my newsletters, my blogs, all of the different elements that help get my name out there. But first and foremost, I will continue to create content, rehearse that content, and make sure that I am serving the audience. Because if you're going to get paid for a service, you're there to serve. You're there to put the audience first, not yourself. And that is the most important, most effective way to get booked and paid to speak. If you're a current professional speaker or an aspiring speaker that wants to grow your business by doing the most effective strategy, and you want to be assessed as to how your speaking is effective or ineffective, in the comments, I have a link to a free 20-minute discovery call with me. Sign up and let's talk. Let's chat about the way that you're rehearsing and what may be missing from your speech preparation. And of course, make sure that you hit subscribe, because I post not just tools and strategies, but mindsets in being a powerful, confident, and joyful speaker on this channel all the time. As always, make sure that you come off mute, you speak up your story, and we'll see you next time.